Hi guys, Dr. Vasco here with the Bundle Life Health Center.
And Dr. J.
And today we want to talk to you about...
What does it mean to be healthy?
So, Dr. J, what do you think about this whole topic of being healthy and what it actually means to be healthy?
That's a good question, and a lot of people have been kind of misled on what it means to be healthy, and they have the misconception it's how you're feeling, how you feel that morning, and that's not necessarily the case. It's more so in how well your body is healing and how well your body is functioning.
Right on. One of the things that I notice sometimes people think like health is a binary thing, like I am healthy one day and then the next day I'm sick, or I was fine and then I got this XYZ condition, symptom, disease, diagnosis, whatever, and therefore now I have this issue. Or sometimes people come in and they have a diagnosis like, let's say, heart disease, and they're taking medication for something, but then they think that they're healthy just because the symptom is under control. Mm-hmm. So instead of looking at health as a binary thing where it's like we're either healthy or we're sick, the way we like to look at health is on a continuum. So if you think even about a bell curve of people, let's say is height, right? If we look at all the people in the world, some people are going to be really tall, some people are going to be really short, and the majority of people are going to be kind of like in the middle, in the average. And I look at health in the same way. We have people that are very unhealthy and maybe facing a crisis. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have people that are extremely healthy. And most people are kind of like in the middle, where they're not necessarily optimally healthy. They're just feeling good. And for the most part, they feel okay and they're able to manage their symptoms without major disruptions to their life. Mm-hmm. So when we change our perspective from looking at health as like, I'm either healthy or I'm not, to looking at health as, where am I on the spectrum? And I'm moving towards health, or am I moving towards disease? It starts to shift the way we think about our health.
Mm-hmm. All right, so yeah, the scale from 0 to 100, 0 being death, chronic disease, 100 being full life, full function. Most people, like you said, operate on that 50 to 60% range, and they have no idea, and they're not really actively trying to improve their health. And you got to think of it as another example I like to give. If you see a big strong tree outside, and you see the outside and it looks good, it looks strong, but then a simple gust of wind comes and it knocks the tree down, and you see the tree was rotting from the insides. Kind of the same way with our body. You can look good, feel good, go to the gym, eat the right foods, but if you're not addressing the root cause of your spine and nervous system, you won't be truly healthy on the inside.
I love that. That actually makes me think about when people face a chronic disease. So, right, like somebody gets a chronic diagnosis, let's say a stroke, a heart attack, a cancer diagnosis, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, whatever the diagnosis is, it almost doesn't matter. It takes years of a disease process to get to that point where the symptoms come and then the actual disease or the diagnosis comes. So the first thing that happens is health starts to decrease. So if we define health based on function, how well are we functioning? We're functioning 100%, then we're healthy. If we're not functioning at 100%, then we're not as healthy, or we become unhealthy. So if function decreases, that's the first thing. Then the symptoms come after some period of time, and then the diagnosis comes, and then the treatment comes. So if we zoom back out and we think about function, that way we can appreciate that even before diagnosis, there's perhaps things that we can do to improve our health, to improve function. So the example that comes to mind for me when I learned this concept is I thought about my grandfather, because when I was maybe like 9 years old, I remember my grandfather had a stroke. And what I think about is if I asked him that morning if he was healthy, he would have probably said yes. And the reason why is because he felt fine. In fact, he probably didn't know that there was going to be an issue or a challenge because he didn't have any symptoms. But the reality is that there was an underlying issue, decrease in function, that was leading to a chronic problem. And if he had known that, he would have maybe made different choices. Maybe he would have been proactive about engaging or addressing different aspects of his health, to the degree, of course, that he can control that. And I think for most people, that's my hope anyways, for people, to empower them with education so that they can make different choices. Because ultimately, the results that we get in our health are determined by the actions that we take. right? We have influence over our health outcomes, and the actions that we take are determined by the way we think about our health. So if we can shift our perception, our thoughts about our health, we can take different action steps and get better results, better outcomes.
And I like what you said about shifting the way we think about health. We've been brought up, and culture tells us, if you're sick, you go get the medicine, you take the medicine, and then you're healthy. But we have to kind of look at the body as expressing health. So I like to ask the question, if you're throwing up or you're having diarrhea and not feeling at your best, are you sick or are you healthy? And most people would say, well, I'm sick, I'm throwing up. Well, in reality, your body doesn't make mistakes. It's smart. It's designed to function and heal just without interference. And the throwing up or the diarrhea is actually your body purging whatever toxin, whatever bacteria, virus, whatever has gotten in it. So in actuality, you are healthy because you're getting rid of the bad, and we have to kind of think about it like that, and not just throw medicine on it, and just take the proactive steps to function better on the inside as well.
Yeah, that I love that, because for me, when my body is expressing health, that's how I think of it. Is I'm not sick, my body's expressing health. It just doesn't feel good. So I may be out, I may be tired, I may be achy, I may have a high fever, whatever my body needs to do. My goal during that period of time is to just do everything I can to improve function, because I know if I improve function, my body will have the resource it needs to adapt and to get healthy in the process. So we had an interesting scenario happen with a patient that actually goes along with this concept as well. And we had somebody that came in here and she had low back pain. When we did the exam and took some x-rays, we saw that the low back was actually healthy, meaning that function was actually pretty high. She just had discomfort due to daily stresses and repetitive positioning, etc. However, the neck area, where she had no symptoms whatsoever, had some advanced degeneration, and she had reversal of her curvature, which means that there's a lot of stress in that area, and she had no idea because she's asymptomatic. So then the question becomes, what's a priority, right? In the short term, of course, we want to help her improve function and feel better so that she doesn't have low back pain. But in the long term, we want to actually correct the underlying neck issue so that she doesn't deal with problems down the road. And those are the silent things that happens. Like sometimes people come in here and they're literally facing surgery and they had no idea that they had these underlying spinal issues or neurological issues that were affecting them until they got checked. So last thing, as far as a call to action, my thoughts on this topic of what does it mean to be healthy is, number one, understand health is not how we feel, it's how we're functioning. So therefore, the action step here is really think about how well is your body functioning, especially if you have certain symptoms going on. Like, what is the underlying cause of that dysfunction, that decrease in function that's leading to the symptom? And then most importantly, how can you correct that cause? And then if you do that, you get healthy, and then you're able to experience health and understand how to better take care of your body.
Absolutely.
Any final thoughts?
The final words I can say is just making sure you're connected to the source, making sure your body is connected to the source, and that is the brain. That's the control center of the body, and that's really the only thing in health that really makes sense, because if we have misalignments, putting pressure on the nerves, and we're not getting full function to like a muscle, an organ, that's going to cause some issues down the road. And just making sure to get rid of that interference through the chiropractic adjustment, and making sure our brain and our body are communicating at 100%.
Love it.
Yep.
Nice. Live healthy, live empowered, live abundantly. We'll see you in the next video.
See ya.